Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the channel. So, guys, we are back with another session for RBI Grade B Phase 2 Descriptive English. And in this session, we would be discussing about reading comprehension. So, I know the previous session got cancelled due to the same issue. So, guys, kindly give me a confirmation if you can see me and if you can hear me. Good morning, Yash. Hello, Vinci. Hello, Bhuvan. So guys, I apologize for the previous session due to some health issues. I was not able to take the previous session. So guys, am I audible? Am I visible? Yes. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. So before we begin guys, I would like to tell you about the comprehensive guide to your RBI Grade B, and this is a handbook which will provide you all the previous year questions, all the sources, and all the strategies that you need to prepare for RBI Grade B exam. So this is a great book compiled by us, which will provide you detailed insights into your exam, and that will help you with your preparation. So guys, if you want to get this book, if you want to download this book, just click on the description of the video and you can download this book for free. And this is an amazing book which will help you with the previous year cutoffs and your preparation strategy. All this reference sources are given. So this is a great book, so you should definitely download it and you should definitely look into it. So you can click on the description of the video and you can download it and you can use it for your preparation. So let's move ahead, guys. What is the agenda for this session? Now, in this session, we would be covering two very important things, which are first of all, we'll be discussing the tips and tricks of reading comprehension, which we were supposed to do in the previous session. Then I would also like to highlight some do's and don'ts of your reading comprehension, and then practice reading comprehension, and we'll also be looking into some question and answers. And today I'll also give you a homework. Last time somebody was asking me, sir, you didn't give a homework today. So today I'll also be giving you a homework, so don't worry about it, right? So that is the agenda for the session. So without any further ado, let's jump into the session, guys. And if you have not liked the session yet, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please don't forget to do so. And guys, please do share this video as much as you can, because it may reach some a person which may who may really be in need of this, right? Who may really feel like that I need this and I want to I cannot pay for these expensive courses out there. So this video may help someone who really deserve this. So don't forget to like the session and don't forget to share it, guys. So let's move, guys. Let's start with some tips and tricks. So I think I did share with you this last time as well. I did tell you that there is the very important thing that we need to be working upon is reverse reading. Reverse reading is very important when you are preparing and when you are attempting for your reading comprehension part. That's applicable in both the phases, actually, in phase 1 and as well as in phase 2. And what reverse reading basically means is to read the questions on the basis of the passage before reading the passage, right? That is what we call reverse reading. So if you read the questions before you start reading the passage, you get to know the central theme of the passage. You find your keywords that you have to look for, and that makes it very easy for you to find your answers in the passage, and that will save you a lot of time as well. So I hope you've started practicing reverse reading. Next is, guys, you should mark the keywords in the questions and memorize them. So you should always mark the keywords in the questions and memorize them, and that is very, very important because as you will be reading the passage, unless you are able to identify your answer, the part or the paragraph which has the answer, it would be it would be pointless. So the smart strategy should be to read the questions first, mark your keywords, and then look for those keywords in the passage. Then try to recognize the main idea as you read the questions, and you should know what you have to look for. See guys, you should not read the passage like a story. You should read it like, it should be a mission for you, right? And what I mean by mission is, when you read the questions and you know your keywords before the passage, you try to find those keywords in the passage, and that is when you can easily crack all the questions. You can easily find all the answers in one reading. But on the other hand, if you read the passage first and then you go to the questions, you will have to come back to locate the answers, and that will lead to wastage of time. So always try to figure out the keywords in the passage, and you should know what you have to look for. Now while reading the passage, look for the keywords marked in the questions. So when you are reading the passage, look for the keywords that you have marked in the questions, and avoid getting stuck anywhere while reading the passage. That is very important. Now mark the important points of each paragraph. Now I told you this is a very good habit for Pressy writing as well, and for reading comprehension as well. So when you are reading the passage, make sure that you point out or you mark down the important points of all paragraphs, so that it makes it easy for you to locate and to go back to the paragraphs, to navigate through the paragraphs and find your answers easily. So that is the important part. So these are some important tips and tricks. I did share them with you last time as well, but now let's look at a few more tricks that I wanted to share with you. So number one, guys, please read it carefully. Now when you are answering the question, now that was what I just told you on the previous slide, that was what you need to do before you start reading the passage. Now what you need to do while you are drafting your answers, now that is the important part. Now answer the questions carefully after reading the complete passage. Don't just jump to writing your answers in the middle of the passage, because you will never get the central theme or the final message unless you read the complete passage. So answer the questions carefully after reading the passage. Now as far as answering the question is concerned, frame the answers in your own sentences. Rather focus on structuring of the passage, which is important. So guys, as far as answering the question is concerned, frame the answers in your own sentences. That means you need to have originality in your answers. See, I told you, if you copy and paste your answers, if you pick out sentences from the passage and put them there as they are, that will lead to deduction of marks. So frame the answers in your own sentences. Rather focus on structuring of the passage, which is important. So instead of focusing on how the passage is structured, you frame your answers in your own words, in your own way of presentation, and that is how you can elaborate your answers. So unless you have originality in your answers, it would be pointless to write down just the fact that is given in the passage. Now the language of the comprehension should not be copied. Now please remember this, guys, this is very important. Language of the comprehension should not be copied in your answers. This is very important, because if you copy and paste your answers, it will lead to deduction of marks. And try and improvise upon your vocabulary, as it will be of great importance in reading comprehension. So see guys, you cannot change the basic idea, you know that, right? So but still, what you can do is, you can change your vocabulary, you can use new words, you can use synonyms, and present the sentences in a new way. That is what will bring originality to you. Now guys, before we go any further, I would like to discuss with you the psychology of reading comprehension. See guys, I told you that Pressy writing, okay, let me put, if you ask me, sir, what do you say in essay in Pressy, what are the skills that we are tested upon, right? So in essay, it's basically about your articulation, and your research. So guys, if you ask me, sir, what are the skills that they're targeting in essay? The skills are articulation and research. Now, how well articulated your essay is, and in that essay, how well researched thesis you present. So that would be the key focus area of your essay, right? Now, in Pressy writing, they basically focus, or you have to focus upon contraction skills. right? Now, what are contraction skills? How well you comprehend the passage and how well you contract it in your own words. So that was about reading, that was about Pressy writing. But now, guys, let me ask you this question, and it's a very logical question, very fair question, guys. Now, guys, you definitely would think, or you definitely must have asked yourself, see, when they have already tested you for reading comprehension in phase 1, why are they again testing you for a reading comprehension in phase 2? Now, guys, can you answer this question? What do you think? And why do you think actually they're again giving you reading comprehension based questions in phase 2 when they've already given you reading comprehension based questions in phase 1? What could be the reason behind it? Just think about it, guys. Now, do they want to again test you on the on your inferential power, your comprehension skills? Is that so? What do you think? See, there is definitely going to be reading comprehension in phase 1, right? So my question is, why are they again asking you reading comprehension in phase 2? So that will give you the right logical idea of this. Analytical skills, I do understand that, but analytical skills are already tested in phase 1, right? Why are they testing it again in phase 2? Nikita, that was the question. Why are they again asking you reading comprehension based questions in phase 2 when they've already done so in phase 1? See, guys, the difference is very good, Vinci. Almost there. But just look at the inherent difference. See, guys, there will be reading comprehension question in phase 1. There will be reading comprehension question in phase 2. But what is the difference? In phase 1, the reading comprehension based questions are objective type, multiple choice questions, right? They are basically based on specific data or specific information that is given in the passage, and you have to locate that information and find your right choice, right? So it is not about you have to think what has been inferred by the author, or you don't have to think beyond the passage, right? But in phase 2, descriptive English phase 2, there is another reading comprehension passage, but now you have to understand the questions that are given here are not objective type questions. They're not multiple choice questions. They're elaborative questions, right? So the difference, the basic underlying difference is you need to understand. Now, in reading comprehension in phase 2, now they want to see your elaboration skills. So please listen to this, guys. Essay is about your articulation, right? And your research, how well researched you are about the topic and how well you articulate your essay. Pressy is about contraction skills, how well you contract your your Pressy, and how well you can infer the whole passage into a selected number of words. But what about RC? Have you ever seen, guys, have you ever noticed there is no word limit in reading comprehension in descriptive English? And this is where most of the students get beat, right? So you need to understand reading comprehension in phase 2 is not about locating information like phase 1. So in phase 1, what you need to do? In phase 1, what you need is your answer location ability. Can you locate your answers in the passage? Right, so that is about phase 1. But in phase 2, it's not just about locating your answer. It is much more beyond that. In phase 2, it's more about elaboration skills. How well you elaborate your answers, and how well you do it in your original words, in your own way of presentation. Right? Exactly, Inspire. Very good, Anshul. So this is what you need to understand. So if you ask me, sir, what would be the definitive skills that we need to build up for these 3 type of questions, for essay, for Pressy, and for RC? So this is what I would tell you, that in essay, your articulation and your research will play the most important role. In Pressy, it would be about how well you infer and how well you contract the passage in your own words. And in RC, I would say it's about elaboration skills, right? So in RC, guys, I told you earlier, for 1 mark, we have to write 10 words. So this is a simple formula. to understand how many words do you need to write for RC. So for 1 mark you have to write 10 words. So let's say the RC is for 40 marks. So you roughly have to write around 380 to 400 words. And why am I saying this and how am I saying this? Let's say there are 5 questions, right? There are 5 questions for 40 marks. That means you can say that every question would be for about 8 marks. So for a 8 mark question, so you would be required to write around 70 to 80 words. So that is the ideal word limit for your reading comprehension, right? And this is why I told you that your elaboration skills will play a lot of role. Because guys, you will be given only a little amount of data, a little information in the passage about your, about your question. But what you would be required from you is elaboration skills. And I gave you an example in the previous session as well. Good evening, good morning, Shivani. All right, guys. So, guys, is this clear to you? What are the skills that are required in this? And now, before we begin, before we look at, before we start practicing questions and answers, let me also share with you the 5 very common mistakes that you have to avoid, or you should not make. You must not make while answering reading comprehension questions, right? Now, number 1 is grammatical typos, spellings, and punctuation errors. I think this goes for all the questions in descriptive English part, and guys, okay, let me put it to you this way. If you ask me, sir, if you can you step by step, or can you one by one tell us the important aspects of this paper, descriptive English? So let me put it to you this way. The first important aspect is to complete the paper in time. See guys, if you're not able to complete the paper in time, it is pointless to prepare for this exam. Because if you miss one question, you are already out of the race. If you're not able to complete one question, you have already missed out on a lot of marks, and you will not be able to compete then. So we need to understand our first priority is to complete the paper in time. Right. Second priority is or should be that your answers are error free. That means there are no grammatical errors, there are no typos, spelling errors, or punctuation errors in your answers. Because that will, every error, every spelling mistake, grammatical mistake, every typo, every punctuation error will cost you, you can say, 0.25 marks. So it's not definitive, but that's how we take it. Every mistake will cost you 0.25 marks, right? And let's say you made 10 mistakes in one answer. Let's say in essay or in Pressy you made 10 mistakes. Maybe couple of grammatical mistakes, couple of spelling mistakes, couple of punctuation errors, and let's say all of them add up, they make up 10 mistakes. So 10 mistakes will cost you 2.5 marks. So if the other student is scoring, let's say 29 marks or 30 marks in essay out of in RC, so 29 or 30 marks in RC out of 40, you would be scoring around 26, right? Similarly in Pressy, similarly in essay, and that 2 marks in every answer will bring you behind, will pull you back about 8 to 9 marks, and that is where you lost the whole game. So the first important thing is to complete the paper in time. Second important thing is to keep your answers error free, right? And third is important thing is your answer should be in proper format, in proper structure. As I've discussed with you, essay there should not be any titles, there should not be any bullet points, numbers. It should be written, or it should be discussed in paragraphs only. So you have to follow the structure. In Pressy, you need to understand there should be one title on the top, and the whole Pressy should be in one paragraph itself. Right, and in your reading comprehension answers, there is no definitive format, but it depends on the question how you answer. Right, if it's a factual question, if it's a if it's a question where you have to discuss different aspects of the answer, you can use numbers, bullet points, but with complete sentences. But if it's a inferential question, then it is advised that you write your answer in paragraphs, but you need elaboration. So the first mistake that you must not make in your paper is you should not make any grammatical mistake. Second, make sure that you write ample words in your reading comprehension. This is where most of the students get beat, guys. They feel, we are only supposed to find the answer in the passage and just put it down the way it is given in the passage. No, you need a lot of elaboration. So please do not fall for that trap that okay, we only need to write 2 lines, 3 lines. And why am I saying this, guys? Now please ask yourself, guys. No, I think all of you have done your graduation, right? So in your graduation, you used to write 8-mark answers or 10-mark answers, right? I think all of you would agree with me now. So if you ask yourself, if it's a 8-mark question, how many sentences would suffice for it? If you are sitting in your graduation exam, now would you write 2 sentences for an 8-mark answer? Now, please answer me in the chat box, guys. And I think you would agree with me now. Now, if you were sitting in the exam for your graduation or post-graduation, and if it was an 8-mark question, would you just write 2 lines and expect that I would get 7 marks out or 6 marks out of it? Just by writing 2 lines, 2 sentences. Would that be justice to the question? The weightage of the question. I think that will make it amply clear to you why am I focusing on elaboration skills here, right? So please understand this. Why are they again asking you reading comprehension in phase 2, and why is it called descriptive English? Descriptive is where you'll be required to describe, elaborate your points, your answers. So reading comprehension is all about elaboration skills. So make sure that you remember the word limit, remember the formula I told you. For in RC, for 1 mark you have to write around 10 words. And guys, honestly speaking, this is very easily doable. You know why? Because many students tell me, sir, we don't have good typing speed. If we have good typing speed, we'll be able to complete the paper in time. It's really not about typing speed, guys, honestly speaking. Because if you look at the mathematics of this, how many words do you need to really write in the whole paper? 400 words for essay, 150 or around 150 170 word for Pressy, that is what, 550, and then again for roughly around 380 to 400 words for RC. So you're basically writing around 900 to 950 words in 90 minutes, right? So let's assume that you are only writing, let's assume that you are only typing your answers for 60 minutes out of 90, and you have a very normal typing speed of 15 words per minute, right? So guys, even if you type with your index fingers, even if you type with your index fingers, any person can write 15 to 20 words per minute. So even if you're typing for only 60 minutes out of 90, you will still be able to complete the word limit. I mean the ideal word limit that is required for these questions, right? So see, mathematically it's really not about your typing speed. It's more about your practice, your your articulation, and the way you have rehearsed answer writing before the exam. So that is the more important part. Now again, next mistake that you must avoid is you should not copy any text from the passage, because copying and pasting will lead to deduction of marks. So please keep this in mind, guys. Now many students ask me, sir, can we use information that we have on our own about the topic in these answers? Absolutely not. Can we add any opinion into this answer? Absolutely not. Can we make any assumption on the basis of the passage? Absolutely not. What you can do is you can infer. You can infer whatever has been whatever has been conveyed in the passage. On the basis of that, you can infer your answers, but you cannot add any personal opinion, any bias, any personal assumptions, or any information that is not mentioned in the passage. That is not to be included in your answers. And last but not the least, I've seen students writing whatever they feel like writing in their answers. So I make sure that that your answers are relevant to the question. That is very, very important, guys. Got it? So these were the 5 mistakes that I wanted to talk about. Now I'll show you what I mean here is. So guys, I'm just showing you some of the answers that some of the aspirants wrote, and I wanted to discuss that what are the mistakes, what are the problems here. So let's see, the question was discuss these farm laws and what they provide for. Let's say this was the question. So the three this is the answer, and let's see what mistakes we come across. The three farm law bills provide for various reforms which has, now, grammatical mistake, it should be have, which have hindered the growth of agriculture. Like, now, Farmer Produce Trade Commerce Act allows farmers to sell outside APMC mandis. Farmer Empowerment Act, farmer has been given option to opt out for contract farming. Essential Commodities Act, liberty for farmers to trade for certain grains and pulses. See guys, this is what I was talking about. This is what looks like a poor answer. If you think, sir, sahi to likha hai. If you think that, okay, what is wrong with this answer? This is not elaboration at any point of time. What is written here is only bullet points. So the passage was about the three contentious farm laws, and the question was discuss three farm laws and what they provide for. So you need to understand what the evaluator is looking in this answer is your understanding of the farm laws on the basis of the passage and what they provide for. So in this answer, you would be discussing all the three laws in detail. That okay, the three laws which which were put in place by the government bring forward various reforms, or various changes that are intended by the central authorities. Now, it can be said that it has hindered the growth of agriculture. Now, this was an opinion which was added by the student. It was not given in the passage, but this was an opinion, personal opinion, which was added by the student. And then after that, what he did was he just mentioned the three farm laws in very brief. This is not what your answer should look like. Right? This is like finding the point from the passage and just putting it there. Where is the elaboration here? There is no elaboration. There is no originality here. So this will only fetch you what? Out of probably 2 marks out of 8, if you ask me. This is what you would get. Now let's look at another answer. Why is the government reluctant to repeal the farm laws? Government provides for MSP for the farmers. This is wrong. Grammatical mistake. Government provides MSP for the farmers, which causes dent on the fiscal discipline of the government's expenditure. This again, guys, you should not make this mistake using short forms. This is not acceptable in your actual paper. So fiscal discipline of government expenditure, and also FCI has been dealing with problem of over procurement and storage issues, and government wants to increase farmers' income through contract farming, free trade, and selling outside mandis without mandi tax. So guys, do you think this one sentence long answer is enough for a 8-mark question? Now, why is the government reluctant to repeal the farm laws? Although he has given every information that was given in the passage. But do you think this is what elaboration stands for? And please do tell me, guys, do share with me how many marks would you score if you were the evaluator, and if this was an 8-mark question. How many marks would you score to this answer? One sentence only, where there are 3 grammatical mistakes, right? Now please do share your input, guys. Now I want you to judge that, okay, if we had done this, how many marks would we fetch? Or what would be our score if we write such answers? Exactly, Sahil. Absolutely, Vinci. Yes, Nikita. So see guys, this is what we cannot do. This is what we have to understand, that reading comprehension is about elaboration, right? Maximum 1 or 2 mark out of 8. Looking at 3 mistakes, he has already lost 0.75 marks. So I think probably he would get 1 or 1.5 marks here, right? Let's say 1.5, right? Let's put it there. Let's look at the third answer. Discuss why farmers are worried over MSP assurance. Farmer of Punjab. It should be farmers of Punjab are in agriculture. Punjab and Haryana are in agriculture. See, this is a very vague statement. Farmer of Punjab and Haryana are in agriculture. Farmers are always in agriculture. What is he talking about? So farmers of Punjab and Haryana are in agriculture sector or agriculture economy or something like that. So he's missing something here. And they're dependent on MSP for their produce. They think, see, again, grammatical mistake. It should have been a full stop. They think that because of these farm bills, MSP would be discontinued, and for them, farming would no longer be a source of income to run their livelihoods. And as they are so much attached to farming, they do not want to lose it for contract farming promise over MSP. So, see, guys, if this is what we call poor answering. So the student is writing on the basis of his, his biases, his opinions. What was given in the passage was that why are the farmers worried? Because they feel, because these specifically these northern northern states like Haryana, Punjab, and some part of this western UP, these areas, they have they have this culture of monocropping and cash cropping, right? That was given in the passage. And as these farmers are mostly dependent upon the MSP, which is provided by the government on the crop that they grow. They fear that after amendment of these farm laws, it may bring forward to you a situation where they are not given MSPs on their produce, on their grain, and that will take away their source of livelihood. So that had to be elaborated. Right, so it had to be presented, there was more information there, but this is what I tell you, guys. Please don't make this mistake in your reading comprehension. Number one, there were grammatical mistakes. Number two, the word limit was not met. Number three, in question number one, if you are writing an answer in bullet points, it has to be properly structured. Right, number one, number two, number three, and the sentences should be complete, not like this. So this is again mistake. If you leave your sentences, there are punctuation mistakes everywhere. So this will again fetch you what? 2 marks, let's say, out of 8. So going like this, if you score 7, 8, 10, 12 out of 40 marks, there's no point even attempting the paper there. So please do not make these mistakes. And look at these answers, guys. I have a better one for you, and these are actually written by students who were preparing for this exam. So I have not written these answers. These were the answers written by aspirants from previous years, right? Who were preparing, and I got this and I was shocked to see. So I wanted to show you, see, this is what you should not do. So in the upcoming budget, there are 4 areas of focus in agriculture. Increasing, look at this, guys. Mistake: increasing storage capacity, increasing availability of pulses, reduction import of reduce, it should be reducing, not reduction, reducing imports of oilseeds, increasing farmer livelihoods. यार इसमें भी bullet points में भी गलती कर रहे हो यार. How can you do that? So guys, do you think this is what they're looking for? Can you find the information from the passage? Do you think that is what they're looking for? Absolutely not. This will fetch you what? Probably half marks out of 8. Right? Then look at this. Mechanized farming is very important factor for agriculture productivity. The farmers not only have to cultivate farming, but also has to sell it at a reasonable rate. So that farmers have to mechanize their crops. That's why in the upcoming budget, the government focus on Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana to help rural storage infrastructure, which will help small marginal farmers to hold the produce till a reasonable market price. In 2 sentences, if you are making 7 mistakes, punctuation and grammatical mistakes, there is no point here. Then look at another answer. There are some agriculture schemes launched by the government. DBT. DBT is not a scheme. Agriculture subsidy scheme, direct connect to beneficiary. Direct benefit transfer. Account holder link with Aadhaar card. So see, guys, again, this is what I call poor presentation of your answers. This is what we do not or cannot do in your reading comprehension. So I think I've made it amply clear, right? So This is what we cannot do. This is very poor form of presentation. All right. So we need to elaborate, and how to elaborate? Let's start doing that. Let's look into that. So guys, I have a passage with me. Let's read the passage together and let's see what could be the the answers for these questions. So I'll read it out for you, and I want you to read it with me as well. So it goes like this: India's economy, and I'll highlight the important points, guys, as we go along. India's economy is likely to grow 2.5 times to $7 trillion by 2030, from about $3 trillion now, making India the world's third largest economy. So let's read the passage carefully and let's try to see how you elaborate your answers. So India's economy is likely to grow 2.5 times to $7 trillion by 2030, from about $3 trillion now, making India the world's third largest economy. This implies that nominal GDP growth is likely to average just over 10% through the next decade, Dutch Bank said in a research report, Imagine 2030. So there was a report by Dutch Bank by the name of Imagine 2030, and in that report, the bank has predicted that the economy is likely to grow 2.5 times by 2030, and this will lead to an average growth of 10% throughout the next decade. Now, the sharp slowdown in the recent years, despite Indian economy's promise over the last decade, is not indicative of what is in the store for the next decade, Dutch Bank said. So the sharp slowdown we have seen in the recent years, despite Indian economy's promise over the last decade, that Indian economy's promise over the last decade that we will grow a lot, but due to COVID and whatnot, the sharp slowdown in the recent years, it is not indicative of what is in the store for the next decade. That's what the Deutsche Bank said. Now, despite its promise over the last decade, the Indian economy has slowed down sharply in the recent years. This has led some to predict the decade ahead will be one of lower growth and frustration that India's enormous potential will yet again go unfulfilled, the report said. There are some people who feel that, there has been a slowdown in the previous decade as well. So the next decade may also bring with it, low progress rate. But as far as India's economic growth is concerned, it may remain below potential in the near term. However, ongoing government measures will give major push to its potential in the future. Right? So it can be said that it may remain below 10%, it may be 7%, it may range between 6 to 8%, but it is still a good growth rate compared to other economies, and the push given by the government, right, by the measures taken by the government, it will provide the necessary push to reach the potential in the future. Now, for starters, to offset the demand slowdown, the government took the bold decision in September 2019 to meaningfully cut the corporate tax rate. Now, this will likely incentivize greater foreign direct investment flow into the country and support private investment in the economy, which has remained weak over the last 8 years, the report said. So the first step taken by the government is to cut the corporate tax rate. Next, additionally, the Reserve Bank of India, guys, this is for you. So additionally, the RBI's decision to cut the key lending rate by 135 basis points in calendar 2019 will revive growth, the report said. Now, apart from these stimulus measures, reforms initiated in the last few years should also improve the medium-term outlook. So, apart from these measures, some more reforms taken by RBI in the last few years should also improve the medium-term outlook, the report added. Now, let's look further, guys. As economies with significantly higher informal sector employment, India has a very high informal sector. So as economies with significantly higher informal sector employment, such as India, typically have lower per capita income, which is true. Policies which are aimed at the greater formalization of the economy should help to accelerate per capita income levels, the report said. Now, reforms such as demonetization and rollout of the goods and services tax, GST rollout, are likely to play major role in formalization of the economy and will bear fruits in the next decade. So what was done in the last decade, GST and demonetization, the fruits will will see or will bear the fruits in the next decade. So this is where we see that the whole world is in depression, in depression or in recession. You see on a daily basis what is going on in European countries or America in particular. They are about to reach their I think they've reached their debt ceiling, right? And there's a lot of discussion going on in the government at the moment, and I think they have up till 1st June. Either they will have to increase the debt ceiling, or they'll reach their default, right? So why is India not affected by this? Because the measures taken by the government in the previous decade, demonetization, GST. Now this is what we are seeing now, right? So I'm not saying that this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm saying that this is what is predicted by the report. So let's read further. While demonetization has resulted in incentivizing a faster pace of digitization, GST, by the very nature of its design, will expedite formalization of economy and will consequently improve the fiscal and growth dynamics of the country, the report added. Now, demonetization and GST apart, India's bankruptcy law, IBC, right? India's bankruptcy law that came into force in 2017 will also help drive growth in the upcoming decade. Even the Reserve Bank's move to adopt inflation targeting and establish positive real interest rates in the economy will boost growth in the next decade. So guys, so the whole passage was around this report by Deutsche Bank, Imagine 2030, which basically talks about what is in the pipeline for Indian economy in this decade, in the decade that we are going through. So what will happen by 2030? Due to the measures put in place by RBI and government, we'll see a lot of positives in the economy, and as predicted, India's economy will grow more than double. Right? Now let's look at the questions and let's see what would be the answers. Now guys, discuss the current state of the Indian economy. Question number 1. Second, describe how the government plans to revive the economy. Question number 2. And discuss the purpose of the author to write this article. So let's say we had these 3 questions. So first, let's try to locate the answers, and then we will see what could be the the viable solutions, how to elaborate. So let's look at that. So the first question is, discuss the current state of the Indian economy. So what can be taken from this? What is the current state of Indian economy? Currently, now this was the point that I'll start with. Now we stand at $3 trillion at the moment, right? So this is where we are. So we stand at $3 trillion now, and it is expected that we will reach $7 trillion mark by 2030. And this was predicted by a report by Deutsche Bank by the name of Imagine 2030. Now, that was the first point I would start with. Then India has seen a recent slowdown in the previous years, but that does not indicate what is in the store for the next decade, because the measures put in place by the government are going to prove beneficial in this decade, and they will provide the necessary push and the revival of the economy. Now then, what I would add here is, despite the promise over the last decade, Indian economy have seen some slowdown, right, which has led some people to believe that the next decade will also see lower growth and frustration that India's economy will again yet go unfulfilled. The potential for Indian economy will again go unfulfilled, but that is not what is indicative of the indicated by the report. So as per the report, India has India is called a bright future. India has a bright future, and India will try to achieve, at least a nominal GDP mark in the upcoming decade. So as far as India's economic growth is concerned, it may remain below potential, a little below potential in the near term, but however, the ongoing government measures will give a major push to the potential in the future. So I can say my first answer was, given in the first couple of paragraphs. So that is my first answer, right? Second question is, describe how the government plans to revive the economy. Now, what are the plans of the economy? There are the second half of the passage is all about what are the plans. Now, first, slashing of corporate tax rate. That is my first point that I am going to discuss. Then what would be the impact? It would bring foreign direct FDI, foreign direct investment into the country, and private investment into the economy, right, which has remained weak over the last 8 years. That would be my first point. Second point would be to discuss the RBI's decision of cutting the key lending rates by 135 points, right. That will that will really push and revive the growth of the economy. Apart from that, there are many stimulus measures and reforms that have been put in place. Now, what stimulus and reforms are we talking about? Number one, to bring more formality into the economy, bring more people into the formal sector of the economy to improve per capita income. And how to do that? The government has planned. Number one, government has already rolled out demonetization and GST. Now, both of them, they will help in demonetization will help in incentivizing a faster pace of digitization, and GST will expedite formalization of the economy, and this will improve the fiscal and growth dynamics of the country. And IBC law, that is my fifth point. So guys, I have so many points that what are the plans of the government. Number one, cutting key lending rates. Then the second was cutting corporate tax rate. Third was GST. Fourth was demonetization for bringing formalization into the economy, and then bankruptcy law. So these were the measures which I can write one by one and discuss holistically, separately, that these are the steps and measures that the government has put in place to revive the economy. And third question is the challenging one. Discuss the purpose of the author to write this article. Now, that is something that we need to look into. That what is the purpose of the author? It provides, the necessary, or let's say the prediction of the upcoming decade, right? And the positives that we can take from the measures that have been put in place by the government and RBI, which will provide the necessary impetus or the push to revive the economy despite the recent sharp slowdown, and that will show in the next decade, which is predicted that India will, more than double its economy, where it will reach 7 trillion mark by 2030, right? So let's see what could be, good answers for these questions, right? So for question number one, what was question number one? What is the current state of Indian economy? Let's look at this answer, guys. The Indian economy, which is currently about $3 trillion, has been facing the sharpest slowdown in the recent years. Private investments have remained low for 8 years now. Now, as far as economic growth is concerned, it might remain below par in the near future. The nominal GDP is likely to average just over 10% through the next decade. The Dutch Bank, in its report Imagine 2030, however, has predicted that the decade ahead will be of lesser growth. This might lead to India's tremendous potential go in vain, leading to frustration. Now, it may remain below potential in the near future as well, but ongoing government measures and Reserve Bank's moves will give it the required push to grow 2.5 times to $7 trillion by 2030. So see, he has not deviated anywhere from whatever was given in the passage. So he has discussed the current state of Indian economy. Indian economy has been facing a sharp slowdown in the recent times, and the private investments have remained low for the past 8 years. So see, guys, these were points which were given in two different paragraphs, but he has collated these points and he has presented the whole picture here. That okay, it can be said that the Indian economy has seen a very sharp slowdown in the recent years, but that is not indicative of what we are going to achieve in the next in the next decade. Dutch Bank report predicts that the time ahead will be of tremendous growth, and India will achieve and India will grow 2.5 times, and that is what is predicted of us. Now, for second question, let's read the answer. Now, what are the government plans to revive the economy? Let's read this answer, guys. To begin with, in September 2019, the government took the bold decision to cut the corporate tax rate adequately. This move aims to attract more foreign direct investment in the future. Private investment, which remained low for the last 8 years, will be boosted, As an economy with significantly higher informal sector, India has lower per capita income. Now, government policies which aim at greater formalization should help accelerate per capita income levels. This is where the rollout of goods and services tax comes into play. By nature, GST will accelerate the economy and improve the fiscal and growth dynamics. Now, coupled with reforms like demonetization and India's bankruptcy law 2017, the digitalization and the faster growth rate will be ascertained in the future, taking India to $7 trillion mark by 2030 from currently $3 trillion mark, making it the world's third largest economy. So now, guys, that is what I call a good answer. I told you, there are certain points that we need to find out and put in properly, so that we can do justice to the answer. And what is the what is the purpose of the author to write this article? Now let's read the answer for that. The author aims to bring to the forefront the current state of Indian economy, which, despite a promising future in the last decade, stands on the face of a sharp slowdown. A research report, Imagine 2030, states that Indian economy is just about $3 trillion now. So the author aims to brings to the forefront the current state of Indian economy, which, despite a promising future in the last decade, stands on the face of a sharp slowdown. A research report 2030 states that Indian economy is just about $3 trillion now. However, this sharp slowdown does not indicate of what happens in the next 10 years. The government has taken adequate measures to tackle the situation. The cut in corporate tax rate will ensure greater investments from foreign direct investment and private sector. The rollout of GST will enable formalization of Indian economy, which was a must for an economy with higher informal sector. It will help accelerate per capita income levels. Reforms like demonetization in India's bankruptcy law will help the digitization, and faster growth rate will be ascertained in the future. Not to mention the support of the RBI of India by rate cutting its key lending rate by 135 basis points, which will revive growth and subsequently taking India to $7 trillion mark by 2030 from the current $3 trillion mark, making it the world's third largest economy. Now, guys, you must have seen, sir, there is a lot of overlapping in the answers. Yes, guys, it usually is. This is where your originality and your articulation will come into play. If you are saying the same thing in two answers, try to put it in a different way. So see, these answers were good, guys. If you ask me, sir, what would be the score for this? For this, probably I would give him, let's say 4 out of 8, because it could have been elaborated a little more. This was a good answer. This I would like to give him 6 out of 8 marks. And again, absolutely written. So again, 6, or you can say 6.5. Let's keep it 6. Right. So 6 out of 8 marks. That would be because there was no grammatical mistake. It was properly structured. Everything was discussed. What could have been done better here? When he was, repeating the same points in different answers, he could have used a different language. Right, a different form of presentation. That was the only thing that was lacking. But still, guys, that's a good score nonetheless at the end of the day, because that is how much time you have in the exam to really write and to really complete the paper in time. So you also have to think about completing the paper in time, remember. So the only thing I wanted to add in these answers is, a little change or little, different way of presentation of, overlapping of the points. When you see some points are being repeated in the next answer, try to present it in a different way. That is the only suggestion. Otherwise, very good answers. So this is what you call, good articulation and good presentation of your answers. So guys, if you want to write like a pro, if you want to write like, as if, you're well practiced, well rehearsed, these are the things that we need to keep in mind, right? So guys, any doubts, any queries, if you may have, please feel free to ask. And now I'm giving you the homework passage. So this is the homework passage, and I'll also provide you the PDF of this session on our Telegram channel. If you have not joined our Telegram channel up till now, the link has been given in the description of the video. At the very bottom of the description of the video, you'll find that Telegram channel link. You can get these PDFs on that Telegram channel. So go join that channel if you haven't done that yet. And you can solve this homework passage. And what I want you to do is read the passage, read the questions, and then make your answers and then put them in the comment section of the video. So this is what I want you to do is read the passage carefully, frame your answers in your own words, right? And then put those answers in the comment section of the video, and then let's see how you fare. So this is also about Indian economy and budget and whatnot. That's what I see. So that is the passage. That is the next slide of the passage, guys. Now, this is a long passage actually, right? So we are talking about V-shaped recovery after pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. So you can try this. This is the third slide of the passage. Right? And these are the three questions that I want you to start with. Question number 1, discuss the effects of COVID-19 on Indian economy. So read the questions carefully first. What are the keywords? Effects of COVID-19 on Indian economy. So you have to discuss the impacts of COVID-19 on Indian economy, number 1. Second question is describe the plan of revival of the economy. What is the plan of revival of the economy? So you have to discuss the plan of revival and then briefly discuss the purpose of the author to write this article. So let's see how you write these, how you write the answers of these questions, and take it as a homework, right? Nobody is judging your answers. Nobody will be, saying anything, but I want you to try this so that, you can understand, where you stand today and what, how you are going to fare in your reading comprehension. Right, guys? And in the next session, I will be helping you, live in the session. We'll be discussing how to write your reading comprehension answers right live in the session. And that will help you to understand, okay, this is what we need to do when we are framing our answers. So guys, any doubts, any queries? Yes, guys, any questions about reading comprehension? What needs to be looked into or what else can be done here? If you have any doubts, any queries, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, guys, if you wish to contact us, this is our contact number. You can call us during the office hours. That is 8146207241, or you can also drop us an email at hello@edutap.co.in. And guys, don't forget to like the session. Please, this is the least you can do for all the efforts that we are putting in for you, right? So do share your inputs. Do share your constructive feedbacks with us. You can drop us an email for for whatever you want to share with us, and you can also do that in the comment section of the video, but we would love to hear from you through emails. So do share your feedbacks with us, and we always take feedbacks as constructive inputs. So see, the only way to improve is through your feedback. So do tell us what we can do to improve your experience, and we will be more than happy to to help you out with your experience. So guys, no doubts, no questions, no queries. Shall we wrap up the session then? All right. So thank you so much for your patience, for your receptiveness, and I really expect you to complete the homework, because it's not homework like homework. But this is for your benefit, guys. So don't forget that. Do read the passage. Do try your best to write down your answers. Make sure you elaborate and not make any mistake. And then put it in the comment section of the video and let me see how you fare. Let me see if these sessions have really benefited you in the long run. Right? So thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Vinci, and everyone who's here. So keep up the good work. I'll see you again on Saturday, same time, 8 a.m. in the morning. And we'll discuss live reading comprehension writing answers. And I want you to so you have what, today is Thursday, Friday and Saturday, so you have good 2 days. You have 48 hours to do your homework, right? I think that is enough time. So read the passage, write down your answers, put your answers in the comment section of the video, and do share your feedback to us on this email address, hello@edutap.co.in. We would love to hear from you. We would love to see, and we would love to put in place the feedbacks and the inputs that you provide us, and we would love to improve on what inputs we get from you. So thank you so much in anticipation, guys. Keep up the good work. I wish you all the very best. So just stay positive in your head. just keep on working in the right direction, keep on giving your best, and I'm sure you will come off with flying colors. So thank you so much for joining in, and I wish you all the very best for your endeavors ahead. Have a great day and happy learning to all of you guys.